Allegations came after gunmen abducted about 160 people from a remote village in Niger state in the north-central region. Amnesty International's Nigeria director Issa Sanusi said that Friday's attack showed that the government had abandoned the rural areas. He said the evidence suggested that the government was using proxies to negotiate with kidnappers.
Before Tinubu assumed office as the president of Nigeria, there have been a series of insecurity news and records in Nigeria. But right from the day he assumed office, the statistics shows that insecurity have increased from across the country. Now, today, this evening, Nigeria is on the news, trending both the international news and local news. As usual, not for good news. The Niger state, the middle belt of Nigeria, is under siege. Terrorists operated in Niger state for good 5 hours today. No security agencies that confronted them. They came with 150 motorcycles into the community. And you know what happened? They abducted almost 200 persons. Some news agencies reported that it was 150 persons they adopted, but the community right now, they are saying that it is now up to 200 they discovered that they have adopted. The vigilante group confronted them. Some of the vigilante group were killed, among others, and the people that they adopted include children and mothers. As you know, the attack is not always the most painful thing about the Nigerian insecurity. It is the government actions, the way they pay deaf ears to what is happening in the country. That is what breaks a lot of people's hearts, because the government are not ready to confront this issue. But before we go into that, let us look into these articles from the Sahara reporters. No fewer than 8 people, including 4 vigilantes, were killed by a group of terrorists during an attack on the Monya local government area of Niger State. This was confirmed to newsmen by the chairman of the council, Aminu Najume, who added that the terrorists equally adopted over 160 in Kochi ward of the council. He said 4 youths from the area and 4 members of the vigilante corps were killed by the terrorists. According to him, the adopted persons included women and children. He lamented that the community had been deserted. Mr. Najume, who stated this during an interview with an online platform, Sunday Daye, published by Daily Nigeria, said bandits invaded the community with over 150 motorcycles and sophisticated weapons. He alleged that the security operatives refused to respond to distress calls put out to them. Yes, he said, it is true that Moya local government came under attack by some criminals. It happened in my ward, Kochi. As I speak to you, 8 people were killed, 4 youths, 4 vigilantes. Another person injured during the incident is currently receiving treatment. He said, and over 160 people, including females, were adopted. This calamity is too much, he added. Each of the bikes had 2 people on it, making 300 persons. These people are not bandits alone. There are ISWAP and Boko Haram members among them. They came with sophisticated weapons that made everyone scamper for safety. Even animals in Kochi know that terrorists were in town. They operated for over 5 hours without any challenge from the security operatives. According to him, the issues has been reported to the state government. We have informed our governor. I am sure he will act on our concern. He has earlier ordered the deployment of the security agencies to the local government, and I am sure he will do the same this time, he said. When Sahara reporters called the spokesperson for the State Police Command, Wasiu Abidon, he did not confirm or deny the attack. We will get back to you. I have listened to you. We will get back. This is just what he said. Remember that in 2023, Sahara reporters reported how a 7-month-old baby boy, Habibu, was found sleeping on his mother's back 24 hours after she was shot dead by terrorists on the Pandagori Andawa Road in Shiroro, Niger State. The bandits also blocked the road a day to Sanla and shot 6 passengers, including Haowa Aliu, a senior secondary school 2 student of Miriam Babangida Girls Science College, Minna, and the mother of the baby to death. And no one is talking about these things. I mean no one, absolutely no one is talking about this. if this has happened in other countries in the Western Asia or Eastern Asia or America or Europe, you could have seen the whole internet. Even Nigeria, we continue to sympathize with them. But this is happening on our soil. Our national news, our national television, newspapers, only few of them will carry it, and they will not make it as a headline. But these are souls like us perishing. These are souls like us being kidnapped, being subjected to all sorts of inhuman treatment. And the worst thing is that the government, they are not responding to all these insecurity challenges. You are on your own. That is what they are saying. Now, I really want to talk about this allegation because anytime insecurity is happening around this area, Niger, Nasarawa, Katsina, Plateau, Kaduna, around this area, there is one thing that these people always alleged. Now, the local government chairman is alleging that they called security operatives for 5 hours, none of them responded. In other words, they are thinking that these people are, accomplices. That for us to put distress calls on security operatives, on policemen, for terrorists operating about 5 hours and these people did not answer, something is absolutely wrong somewhere. In other words, all these things, they are for a purpose. Maybe because of the solid minerals in the north, like gold, lithium, iron ore, all these minerals, Nigeria is not exploring them. But terrorists are exploring them. And they have a gold shop where they sell Nigeria gold in Dubai, whereas Nigeria don't have any revenue from gold. This is a pity, and no one is talking about this.
I'm joined now in the studio by the man himself, Amnesty International's Nigeria Director, Issa Sanusi. Thank you very much indeed
thank you, Charles,
for coming in. Let's start first of all with that latest kidnap that we're hearing about in Niger State. A large number of people, estimates of more than 160 people. What more do you know about that abduction?
Well, what we know is that on Friday around 5:30 p.m., these gunmen stormed that village called Chukuchi in Munya local government area of Niger State. They killed 10 people, and those that were killed are vigilante who committed themselves to protecting themselves, and then they went from house to house, picking people, vandalizing shops, stealing from properties belonging to people, and then they went away into the bush with about 160 people.
And we understand that many of them were women and children.
Definitely, many of them were women and many of them were children, and that is the usual pattern of what they do, because they know that this category of people are people that they can easily capitalize on to drive emotional sentiments in people so that they can get what they want.
That's an interesting point. We're also hearing that one of the kidnapped victims managed to escape. I don't know whether you've heard anything about that and who that might be.
Well, I have not heard about that yet. Even before I came into this studio, I am in contact with our contact there. I have not heard about that yet.
And do we have any idea at all who might be behind this attack? Because it's been reported that the attackers were flying a Boko Haram flag. Boko Haram, of course, the Islamist terror group that operates across the northern region, although they tend to be in the northeast as opposed to the northwest, north central region.
Well, for so long, at least for 3 or 4 or 5 years, there have been wide speculation about the fact that Boko Haram fighters have set up camps in Niger State. Niger State is very big, the biggest state in terms of land mass. And reports we got after this abduction at Kuchi village was that they have been raising this Boko Haram flag or Islamicist flag. But it is only an investigation, a thorough investigation that can confirm who exactly they are. Because this abduction has become like an industry, an enterprise, where various groups of criminals and gangs and gunmen who are eager to capitalize on security lapses in the country to make money. So the government has a responsibility here to thoroughly investigate and find out who exactly are these people. What is their motive? Why are they doing this? To what end? And who is funding them? Where are they getting all this, the logistics to be able to move this number of people easily from one place to another?
And as you hinted there, Niger State has come under a series of attacks, in the last sort of few years. And I'm wondering why that part of the country appears to have become vulnerable. I mean, you talked about the fact that it's got wide open spaces, but I wonder what the attraction is, because I mean, the people there aren't the wealthiest in the country, and kidnapping them may not necessarily be the most lucrative thing to do.
Definitely. You know, in the last 10 years, unfortunately, northern Nigeria has been undergoing a serious security challenge, and that security challenge was caused by a lot of factors. Those factors that are available or are happening in Borno State are also happening in Niger State. We have been talking about large areas of land, spaces within Nigeria that are currently without any presence of governance. We have large ungoverned spaces right now because of the collapse of leadership, because of the collapse of leadership and ability to provide governance through the local government system. The local government system has been completely eliminated by corruption and mismanagement. And apart from that, poverty has been increasing, and therefore people find incentive to take up arms and do all these things. But beyond that, we have to also place this responsibility squarely on the Nigerian government, because no one has responsibility to protect Nigerians apart from the Nigerian government. And every Nigerian is entitled to life, at least. No matter the cost of living, you are entitled to life. But we are in a situation whereby people in the rural areas are always being attacked. Every day we receive reports of attacks from Katsina, from Zamfara, from Sokoto, from Borno State, every day. And because these things are happening in the rural areas, far away from the urban centers and the cities, it seems no one cares.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate, very sad conclusion, but a lot of people would agree with you. I mean, this epidemic, somebody called it, of kidnappings continuing across many parts of the country, including here in Abuja. The government seeming unable to contain it. And this latest attack comes as President Tinubu marks his 1 year in office this week. So not the best news for him.
Definitely. And let me take us back to March, when 187 children were abducted in Kaduna State. So after some few days, they were rescued and they were reunited with their families. But there was no transparency about what happened. Many people have been suspecting that there were underhand deals that lead to, you know, the rescue or the freeing of those children.
But do you talk to the families? I mean, do you find out from them if in fact there
Well, the families are always not involved.
Right.
And because of the way power works in Nigeria, people are not considered to be important, even in matters that relate to them. So those families are always shut out. They don't even know what happened.
No, the reason I asked that is that in the past, the families were prevailed upon by the abductors to find money to pay them. I mean, and so in that respect, they would know if a ransom was paid or not.
Definitely. You know, in the case of, you know, small-scale abduction, you know, these abductors, you know, there are many groups of them. Some of them go into these villages and then say that, okay, you have to bring 10 million naira from now to 4 p.m. You have to bring 10 million naira. If you don't do it, you know the consequences is death. And in this kind of circumstance, the families will tell you what happened, where the money was taken to. And Nigerians now know that, you know, these abductors are also on TikTok. They are even displaying stash of cash.
It sounds bizarre.
Yes, they are on TikTok. They are even challenging the government. They are even questioning the authority of the government. They are all over TikTok, bragging about their ruthlessness. Therefore, it's not something is not something unknown. It is something that is known. The responsibility now is on the government to show its authority to carry out its biggest, most important responsibility. Whatever the government is doing is not as important as protecting lives.
So almost predictably, I mean, if I ask you this question, it seems fairly clear what the answer would be. How would you score President Tinubu in terms of security in his first year in office?
Well, we are already working on a report, and it is not looking good. Abductions have continued, killings have continued. Even last week, 40 people were killed in Plateau State, and these killings are continuing. And in one village in Katsina State called Guga, 15 people were killed this week. So nothing has changed, actually. Nothing has changed. And it's so unfortunate that the Nigerian authority, as big, as important, as resourceful Nigeria is, it could not protect its people.
Yes, it is rather sad, isn't it? But, I mean, what would you recommend? I mean, I know you're not a security expert, but you're a man with an ear to the ground. What would you recommend to the government as the best way of dealing with this? One of the things that is being discussed across Nigeria at the moment is the question of state police, and people are weighing that against the potential problems that might arise from that.
Well, I have a personal opinion about state police, and my personal opinion is that it will not make any difference. As long as there is corruption, as long as there is no accountability, as long as there is mismanagement, no matter, even if you bring the Met Police, they will not make any difference. The context is the issue. It's not about the structure. The structure means nothing. As long as the system is still corrupt, as long as the system has no accountability, as long as the system has no accountability to the people, will never be any difference. And when it comes to recommendation, Amnesty International had always been recommending to the Nigerian government how to deal with these things. And one of the best ways to start is to make sure that all of those behind these atrocities against these villagers are brought to justice. Government has the military, has the every apparatus to do this. They should do it and make sure that there is justice. Until the government starts to bring these people to justice, there will never be end to it. And another important thing is for the government, why is it so difficult to investigate these things transparently? Why are so many things hidden from the people? Why can't we know who these abductors are? Where are they from? What is their identity? What is their motive? Why can't we know these things? So these are some of the things that the government has to do. And when these gunmen enter a village and kill people, it is not about government officials issuing empty statements from Abuja to say nice things that are empty out without any sense of responsibility. The issue is those families will forever not forget that thing. So it's the duty of the government to make sure that justice is done. Because if my family member is killed, I will never forget it. No statement in the media will make me forget. Therefore, those families deserve justice. Unfortunately, the Nigerian government had never been seeing things in this way. And another important thing is, as a Nigerian, I will say that we have to really address the issue of the collapse of the local government system, because all the local governments are not functioning completely. No any presence of governance, nothing. And that is why these gunmen and criminals are easily taking charge of these areas and doing whatever they like and getting away with it.
Very sobering words there from you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for coming in. Issa Sanusi is Amnesty International's Nigeria.